are watching Sammy, the Interviewing Toucan, made possible by the Indiana Young Readers Center. Hey, everybody, I'm Sammy, and I'm here today with Candace Fleming. Hi, Candace.
Hi, Sammy. How are you?
Gosh, I'm fantastic. How are you doing today?
I am so excited to be here with you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be with you. You're like an Indiana famous author. You've written over 50 books. We're just so delighted to be able to talk to you today.
Good. Yay.
So, to start out, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to the great state of Indiana?
Sure. I was born in the great state of Indiana. I actually lived in Michigan City, Indiana, right on Lake Michigan for the first 12 years of my life before we moved to Illinois. I learned to read here. I learned to use the library in Indiana. I got my first library card in Indiana. And I still have family that lives in Indiana because prior to that, my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents, all of them Hoosiers.
Personally, I just love Hoosiers.
Me too.
Oh, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about your work. I have your book here, Honeybee, and it's a beautiful nonfiction picture book, kind of told in a lyrical style. And that's just one of your books. You write all kinds of things. You write picture books, you write nonfiction. Tell us about your work.
I write everything from picture books to stuff for young adults. I write nonfiction. I write fiction. Sometimes I write poetry or at least poetically. So I actually write pretty much everything. Occasionally, I even write for the New York Times. So I write for adults once in a while. They'll be really honest. I much prefer kids as an audience than I do adults because I think kids are just the best reading audience ever. But so I write a little bit of everything. And the reason I do is because I'm curious about a little bit of everything. I also like to have a lot of variety when I write. So if I'm writing a big, old, young adult biography of, say, like the Romanoff family, right? I'll think about how much I really want to write a preschool story. So I love having all of those opportunities, all those challenges, all those choices. So I don't like to get particularly stuck in when writing one particular kind of thing.
One of the things I like to talk to authors about is how they do their research. So,
Mm.
for example, when you wrote the book about the Romanovs, did you have to do some traveling?
I did. When I do research, all of my research, whether it's a piece of nonfiction like Honeybee or a great big piece of YA nonfiction like The Family Romanoff, I have four. What I always think of is I have four paths of research. That's so four. So the first one is primary sources. That's those sources that created a time that a person lived, firsthand stuff, right? Photographs, diaries, newspapers of the day, those sorts of things. So I start with primary sources. My second path is secondary sources. What have other people written about the subject? My third path is experts. I talk to people who have spent their entire life studying, the Romanovs or the Russian Revolution or honeybees, right? And I will talk to them. I get to know them really well. Oftentimes, I get to know them so well that they'll actually read the manuscript when I get done to make sure it's all 100% accurate. And then, of course, my fourth path is travel. I travel almost no matter what nonfiction I'm writing, I travel. So when I wrote the Romanovs, I certainly did go to Russia and did a lot of really great research. I have a new book coming called The Curse of the Mummy. It's coming in September. I went to, I went to Egypt. It was awesome. Even when I wrote Honeybee, I went out into the field and went out with some beekeepers, tried on one of those big bee suits, held one of those filters full of the honeybees.
So can I ask you, are you afraid of bees or are you in love with bees?
I am in love with bees. Now, I used to be maybe a little afraid of honeybees, but you know what? I've spent a lot of time studying them and watching them and writing about them. And I really am deeply in love with honeybees. So now I go out, I'm waiting. I've seen some Apis has been out in my garden. I'll go out and I'll take a look and I'll watch her flit from flower to flower. By the way, they're all girls. That's why I call them her, because all the worker bees, all the ones that you see in your yard are females. So they're all girls. And I am in love with honeybees.
They're so important for all the things, right?
They are so important. Okay, so 70% of everything that we eat is directly related to the work of these little girls right here. If
Oh,
without them, we wouldn't have 70% of the things that we eat and drink, like milk even, all are directly related to the work that they do.
just amazing. I ask all my authors, where do you feel like you are in your writing journey right now? And where do you hope to be someday?
Oh, I think I'm at the place in my writing journey where I'm given the opportunity to try things that I haven't been able to do before. And that I think is really exciting, so that I can try new projects, experiment maybe with new forms, new structures, maybe hybridize a little bit of writing genres. Some things that I'm thinking about, you can tell. But I think I'm at that place where I'm allowed to be a little bit more experimental, a little more chancy. I can take some chances, and that's very, very exciting. I'm also in a place where I'm always in a place, I'll never know everything. And so what I love about writing is that the more I do it, the better I get. It's just like everything else. And so here's what I hope: in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, I'll be a whole lot better writer than I am today.
That's a great message. The last thing I always like to ask my authors is if you want to do a little show and tell with us. Do you have
I
something to
do,
show
I
and
do.
tell?
I do want to
Yay!
do a little bit of show and tell. All right, I'm going to show you this thing. Now, Sammy, I'm going to show this to you, and you're not going to think it's too exciting. Wait, wait, wait. Let me get it out. Here it is. It's old and it's ratty, and it's a giraffe. I know it's hard to tell, and it's fallen apart. It's turning yellow all by itself because it's super, super old. Because this is my writer's notebook from fourth grade. Kids ask me how long I've been writing, and I always say I've been writing since I was your age. We are all writers. Writers are people that write, not people that publish, right?
True.
So this is my writer's notebook. It's proof that I've been writing a very long time. Now it's fallen apart because, what was about 157 years ago now, fourth grade. But if you opened up my writer's notebook, you would see stories that I wrote for fun for me, just because when I was in fourth grade. And this one right here is probably my very favorite. And the reason is I wrote this story for my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Van Ballum. I loved her and I wanted to give her a present. And I thought, even in fourth grade, the best picture or best presents are stories. So I gave her this story. Now, if you're wondering why, if I gave it away, I have it now in my notebook back. It's because Mrs. Van Ballum did this thing that made me want to be a writer for the rest of my life. She took this story and she sent it to a writing contest. And guess who won?
You did.
I did.
Oh
And
my
guess what? I know
goodness.
what I'm missing. And guess what I won? I won the first place blue ribbon. And guess what?
What?
I actually have it. Do you want to see it? I know.
Yes, 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 yes.
So exciting. Here it is. Here it is. Ready? All right. I know. Oh, Sammy's going, wait. Did you notice it's the wrong color?
It looks sort of purpley.
It sure is. It's so old it has faded from blue to
Aww.
purple. But you know what? This is even though I've won lots of writing awards since then, this is the one that I want to see every single day while I'm working. So it's got this sticky stuff. I'll put it on my big computer when we're done talking today. Because even though I've won lots of awards, this is the one that I want to see every single day while I'm writing. And the reason I do want to see it is because it reminds me that the reason I write is just because it's so much fun.
I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
Sure.
if there are students out there watching, I just want to encourage you all to keep a journal or keep the stories that you're writing. Just like Candace said, you don't have to be published to be a writer. Everyone is a writer. What a great message. Oh, well, Candace, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for the interview.
It has been so much fun. Thank you.
Oh, well, this is your favorite Hoosier Toucan encouraging you to read local. So long.
So long.